Good evening, it's 7:15, it's the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals, March 21st, 2019. Excuse me. We're at the Littleton Town Offices, 37 Shattuck Street, Room 103, Littleton, Mass. And we will, just in time, we will take a deep breath 1 second, so I can put my rotation back. Based on the seating plan, we don't have a full complement of members tonight, so I've rotated the alternates. So I'll announce who they are as we go through. Okay, it's 7:15, so we can call the first hearing, case number 918A, 8 Long Lake Road, the petitioner Edward Kuykendall requesting a special permit or a variance pursuant to section 173-10B1 for nonconforming uses and structures for extension of a pre-existing nonconforming structure. Julian and Mark, I have you down as the voting alternates for this first hearing, okay? Ed, want to come forward and present, please, as formally or informally as you wish?
Sure. So, here's the house as it originally was,
Oh, sure.
and then you can kind of see off to the side. That's the old basement stairwell, right there. So when we got the permit to put the new roof on the house, we knew we were going to put a set of stairs in, but we didn't know where. So we decided to put it above the old stairwell. And I did call the building inspector, and he said when he came out to inspect it, as long as it's the code, it would be, you could roll it into the permit. The problem was that what he discovered after a couple of inspections is that it was too close to the property line. So that's what we're here for mainly on that, and the other part is a variance for a shed. So you can see it. You can see it better over here. That's kind of mid-construction, and that's, we call it the doghouse. Right there. And so what we did is we raised it up. And we don't
What is
have-
that house?
But
What's
that's
that?
already on top of the existing,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in fact, it's actually a few inches further in from the property line, because the way they tied together, the sheathing is 3/4 inch thick, and then there's this weird particle board backing, and then 2 layers of shingles. So it's actually not as close to the property line as the original structure.
Interesting history on these
I can
houses.
see, that's looking at the timber roof.
That's a
trusses.
Sears,
Yeah, oh, you got it.
that's a Sears Roebuck kit house.
Oh, is that a Sears Roebuck?
Yeah, used to be able to
We
to
knew it
order
was a
that
kit,
from
we didn't know
Sears
it was that.
Roebuck. And there's a couple of them on your street.
Oh, they're all over the place.
Yeah, they were very popular down at the lake area. Oh, wow, you're doing a lot of work.
So you're putting a second story on.
The second story's on, yes. Yeah.
How tall is the peak of the roof of the second story?
It's typical with the rest of the roofs in the neighborhood. I don't know exactly how tall it is.
Can you stand up in it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's full stand-up attic space.
So first, we have to decide how this house is pre-existing non-conforming, and you want to call that out for me. You have an undersized lot. You have a front setback that's less than 30 feet.
I do believe, yes.
However, is your front setback about the average of everything else either side of
Yes.
you?
Yep.
Do you have that? Oh, yeah, he's consistent across. I don't have to call that one out. Your side setback where the doghouse is how much?
6 feet.
And you said for a shed, too. Is that the freestanding shed in the back?
Yeah.
So you're 6 feet from the sideline. How about the other sideline? It looked like plenty on the,
Yes.
map, because you got your driveway on the other side, right?
Yep.
And then your rear is plenty. And what's the shed structure? You got a 12 by
That
16?
structure isn't mentioned anywhere in any of our packets.
Oh, it's not? Yeah, no, I paid for the permit for variance for it, so it should be in there.
Is the shed pre-existing?
No.
Where's the shed going to be sited? How far from the property line?
I think it's gonna be another 6 feet. It's gonna be right up against the septic. It's almost, there was an old structure there originally, and it's gonna be on that same footprint.
what
These-
size is
these-
the new shed?
12 by 14?
These
It
are
says
two
12
very
by
different
16.
issues.
Oh, 12 by 16, sorry.
Yeah.
These are two very different issues.
The shed, I think, requires a variance, but he's asked for a variance and a special permit.
Yeah, that was it. The special permit was for the stairway, and the variance is for the shed.
And this view, which side is it on? Is it on this side?
Yeah, the shed would go right right back in there.
Janet, were you aware of the shed?
He's been working with Shelley on that, so.
Where is the shed going in the school?
With Shelley on that?
She, I think they had a permit for it.
And where are these stairs? you're talking about?
The stairs are right there.
They're going this way? Or we're gonna go more-
It's it's a winder.
But these are existing stairs that are already here, you're just going on top of it, correct?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
already there, it's already
Yes, the
6 feet to
structure's
the
already
property
there,
line.
yeah.
But they had to raise the roof.
So when they
Yeah.
raised the roof in that area where it's has the most nonconformity, it increases the nonconformity. So he has to have a permit for it.
It's more going up.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
it's nothing closer to the property line.
Correct. It's not like it's over there anymore.
There
Okay.
are situations where things are so egregiously close to property lines that by increasing their size up, it really can affect neighbors and be a problem. I don't think this is that
And this house
situation,
is-
but
These are very close right there.
And it's not as high as the existing house. No. Or the addition of the roof on it.
is that shed a movable shed?
It will be, yeah, it's not going on a slab.
It's not going on a slab. And what are the materials it's made out of?
Whatever Reed's Ferry makes it out of.
It's a Reed's Ferry
Yeah, it's
movable
gonna be a
shed.
Reed's, it's gonna be a Reed's Ferry shed.
No
Okay,
fall
so
apart
let's,
board.
let me just ask, everybody on the board satisfied with the questions? I'll ask the butters if they have any. Everyone okay?
And how close is this stairway structure now to the property line?
I'm not willing to address the shed without having a lot more definition of where the shed's going to be, how close it wants to be to the thing, and the fact that it's
It
not
should be-
mentioned in the packet at all.
it should be on there.
Anywhere. It is not.
It's not.
It is
Can I
not.
see that?
It's nowhere in the packet.
Do I have any abutters who want to speak to this application? Yes, in the back, I'm sorry, I've got the fellow behind you first.
I'm Bill Buckley. I live on 10 Long Lake Road.
Can't, I can't hear you.
I'm Bill Buckley. I live at 10 Long Lake Road, right next door. I'm just curious, can I actually see
Yeah, which, are you on this side or this side?
11 feet from the property line?
This, probably this one?
The
Yeah.
stair side.
He's so you're further down toward the lake?
It says shed? Yes.
He's on
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. So
So
it's
it's
11.
not on your
A
side.
drawing there, and it's not mentioned anywhere in the packet. There is
Excuse me,
no,
one at a time, I've got an abutter speaking, thank you. Go ahead.
So what are you planning to do, Ed?
So right, let's see this other place. So right back here, we're planning on putting a shed, right in there. You've seen the house, you saw that we raised up the stairwell on the other side, on Donahue's side, so we did that. But we're planning on putting a shed back on this side so that you guys can't see our backyard because of your fence, but the rest of the neighbors can. So there's a place, we need a place to put our stuff, you know, our yard stuff, so that'll
And that
further
shed
clean the
can't,
property up.
that shed can't move in, so it's 10 feet from
No,
the
it's gonna be
property line?
pretty, it's gonna be pretty close to the pipe, to the vent pipe.
can you put it more in the middle of your back? I don't even know why we're addressing this. I'm sorry, I object. It's not in the packet, it was not mentioned, it's not part of this
All right,
discussion.
let's start with the extension of the pre-existing nonconformity that is in the packet, and then we'll deal with the shed separately. So just for your information, the shed proposal is in the rear. We're not sure the board can address that tonight because it wasn't advertised.
You had another butter too.
Okay? Yes, and the other butter? Yes, ma'am.
Helen Bailey, 9 Roxbury. We're cat-cornered behind, and he's a good neighbor. It's been fine.
What about the shed in the back? Are you behind?
We're behind, but cat-cornered, it would not be a problem for us.
Would not be a problem, okay. Anyone else want to speak to this application? Okay, board, let's talk about the procedural problem of not having the shed on your application, because it is a problem.
Okay.
Because the butters have
I
not
need-
been notified
Well,
about
I
the
need to
shed.
see what the ad said.
Yeah, I'm trying to text Shelley, but there's no mention that it's not in the letter that you submitted
What's-
to me.
What's in the
It's not
ad?
an
What did you
application.
advertise, please?
Yep, the ad is, I'll show you the reading.
Why, I want the file. The legal notice says, petitioner requests a special permit or a variance pursuant to 173-10B1, which is change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming use or structure for extension of a pre-existing non-conforming structure at 8 Long Lake Road. Now, there's a couple of things that the board can do. One is that we can decide that There was enough notice to the abutters to bring them in here if they wanted to see it, because we don't always have a definitional pre-existing extension to a pre-existing garage or extension to a pre-existing freestanding building. And he did ask for a variance and/or a special permit. So I think technically he's covered for the legal ad. The question is, he didn't put anything in his application. Will we accept a motion from the floor to amend the application to include the shed, or are we going to force him to come back for a separate hearing for a shed? And that's up to the board.
If I was a butter, I might be very comfortable with a new roof being put on and an extension being to, over the stairs. I might not show up, think, if I was the next door neighbor, thinking that there is going to be a shed put against my property within so many feet of the property line. I disagree. I don't think we can address this. I think that we cannot address this because it was not advertised. It is being put in the right corner. That person, the butters over to that corner have no clue that that's what's being talked about. What's being advertised as being talked about is an extension on the other side of the house to go straight up and maintaining a footprint. They're two very different issues, that one abutter might come in for one and not come in for the other.
Okay, I want to hear from the rest of the board. I don't disagree with you, but I'm saying that this ad did not disadvantage the abutters, because it didn't say we're going to be talking only about the left side of the house. It just didn't say that. It said change, extension, or alteration to the pre-existing non-conforming property. And that's what we do all the time. So I'm not sure the abutters are disadvantaged. I agree that it is a whole different thing. It's not like saying, I want to switch from a variance to the less offensive special permit. I agree with that. So let's hear the rest of the board. Do you want to weigh in yet?
I would agree what you have to say, Cheryl, that I think there's a notice that something's going on, something's happening. It didn't say just stairs or just one or the other. So as an abutter, I probably myself would have come to hear whatever it was.
You would have come to,
Yes.
we would have come to hear it
Yeah.
because you're in a butter.
Correct.
How about you?
Well, I was gonna say, we don't have a drawing with the shed on it, but this drawing does have the shed on it. So that, the fact that it does, and I assume there's some dimensions there, then I have less concern about discussing it. If it wasn't on this plan, then I don't think we could have.
And, John?
But I can see both points of view, but on the other hand, I don't think you get a notice saying that someone's gonna do some alterations to their property. It didn't sound like the written notice really was that specific as to only one thing.
What was the letter that was sent out to the abutters?
Exactly the same, exactly the same.
So in that case, it's kind of open, you know, to have an
No,
issue.
when
you
usually
can
we're
find out.
talking about sheds, we say in the letter, we're talking about placing a shed.
No, it always says it this way. For that reason. I mean, that's the legalese for, come to the hearing if you want to know what your neighbor's doing on his property. That's, seriously, that's what it is.
Well, you
And
We're not
Let's go
talking a
ahead.
not in
small,
his application, I agree with you.
we're not talking a small shed, and we're not talking in the middle of his backyard. We're talking 5 feet from a
16 is a good
property
size.
line and a 12 by 16 shed.
Kitty?
I agree with John, I can see both sides. What is on the other side of the property line where the shed is intended to be placed? I realize it's 5 feet from the property line, but
So
for the
Mr.
neighbors.
Buckley's, that's Mr. Buckley's house.
Okay.
And there's a Jersey barrier holding up a septic system, and there's a white vinyl fence
Okay.
right there, so.
So basically, you're saying that your shed's gonna be hidden behind the fence.
Well, they'll be able to see the rooftop of it.
But the impacted
immediate
abutter
abutter
is
is
Mr.
Mr.
Buckley, who
Buckley.
is here.
We can ask him,
Okay.
you know, how
Well,
he feels about
okay,
it.
through the board, through the chair, please. Mark?
Can
So
you
just go
remind
both
me,
of them,
or
both
can you
offense.
say again what was in the paper and what was sent? Because it seems that this case is about a pre-existing non-conforming structure. Is the shed replacing an old shed? Was there anything there before?
No,
So it's
No,
not
so-
really we told people were told that we're changing we're looking at a pre-existing condition. Well, if there was no shed there, then there was no pre-existing condition.
That might be hard to argue.
Yeah, because there could be several conditions.
Yeah,
Pre-existing.
every property that doesn't conform to the current zoning comes in as a change, extension, or alteration to a pre-existing non-conforming structure or use, and that's what this says. He's using his property in such a way that it doesn't conform to the 1 acre
Doesn't
zoning and the
say or
setbacks.
use, it
I
just
mean, I'm
says
playing a
structure.
bit of a devil's advocate here, because I don't want somebody on the outside looking in, questioning what we're doing. I just wanna make sure we have an adequate argument, so to speak.
What I heard was that even if he only was planning on putting a shed in, that would be the exact same wording that would have been put in. It would not have, it would not have said, there's a shed going in. It would say, we're making a change to non-conforming.
Is that correct?
use.
That's how you publish it, that's
And
correct.
because publication would not have changed one way or the other.
Correct.
The
The
notice is
neighbors
there.
would either have to come in, or they'd have to walk across the street to his house and say, what are you doing? You know, if they were interested in
How
what's
many
going
actual
on.
abutters are there besides the two that came? Is there just one more? Because it's gonna be,
One directly behind and then, number 6.
You want to see the,
Yeah, the one to the right, where the shed would impact, they're here.
Yes.
The one directly behind is not.
Well, I think the setback is the 10 feet at that point.
You're 10 feet from the back?
I do believe we are, yeah.
Okay.
we have another abutter.
That makes me feel a little more comfortable that the main abutter that might be impacted is here to speak.
This, the people that just walked in, are you here for 8 Long Lake? Would you?
No.
No, okay. I also want to say something else, and that's just procedurally and fiscally. It seems to me that it would be a little bit unfair of this board to require a second application fee and a second hearing. I'm not opposed completely to saying, because you didn't put it in the application properly, we want you to continue for a month while you give us more detail, because that's what Cheryl is asking for, is some more detail on where it's going to sit and what is the setback. I don't have a problem with that. What I'm personally thinking is that I would rather not have you have to go back and reapply and repay for everything.
I'm okay with that.
And-
I'm not asking him to
Yeah,
repay.
yeah.
If his fee included this shed, I don't have a problem with that. But I would also suggest that he look at where it's being placed, because it's a temporary structure. It can go on top of a leach field.
Well,
It may not
but-
need to come back in front of us.
Yeah, well, putting it on top of the leach field would make it very difficult to move because they're heavy. You know, so if you go over the leach field, you gotta bring a machine there to move it, it would definitely make it heavy. It would also cause access issues in the driveway. Because having it in the back, having it right off the driveway just makes the
Then-
most sense.
But I think Cheryl's point is that that wasn't in your initial application, and all of these factors should be weighed by you, brought in with a nice, clean plot plan, as Rod said, this is a little hard to visualize,
With-
and with
with-
an exact
Yeah.
dimension to the
And-
sideline.
And not that I have the choice, obviously, the decision is yours, and, I'm obviously willing to do, whatever you need. And I did pay for the permit, and, apologies
Okay.
if it's not filed
It's-
properly,
It would be
It's-
nice also, if you're gonna put it up against the neighbor's yard, and that neighbor has, I don't know, some sort of Jersey barrier, 3-foot concrete wall or whatever, and then a
Pictures.
6-foot fence on top of it,
Yeah.
that you have that measurement, so you could then tell us that, how
A
much of,
picture is
how much
worth
of this is
1,000
gonna stick
words.
above it, so the neighbor's really not, if he's not gonna see it, then he's not gonna see it, or is-
Right.
versus, if he had no fence up and the thing was stuck up against his,
And who's in behind you and how, there's no even measurement to the back.
Yeah.
And you've got a very big shed here. I understand, you're on a tight lot with a small house. You need things, but if you're building a temporary structure, it's going to be heavy to move it in any case. And it's going to take a machine to move it no matter where you put it.
And then, the other thing is that, excuse me, I didn't mean to step in here, I thought you were done. The other thing is that this is a variance. This shed is a variance. This is not just a change, extension, or alteration of more of it going up.
There needs to be a hardship.
So for variance, you have to establish a hardship. So I think that because you don't have all the data and the materials that the board is asking for today on the shed, we need to continue the decision on the shed, and you need to be prepared to present it as a hardship.
and SBH was shown as a hardship, so you need to say, it can't go anywhere else on the property, because there's setbacks requirement.
Yeah.
So if there's a spot that fits within the setback requirements, you have to show us why that is such a hardship where we can't go there. You know,
Okay.
And we should be driving by your property and looking in your backyard.
Sure.
And seeing where it could go.
And so have some pictures of the fence and the Jersey barrier thing.
Having said all that, the board is still welcome to make a motion to let him amend tonight and decide tonight, or to continue. It's up to the board.
Because procedurally, do we have to vote on both of them together? as the
No, I
same?
think we can vote on one tonight and continue the other.
Because they're also two separate things, right? One's a variance and one's a.
So by not closing the hearing, we still can vote on part of it.
Right. I make a motion that we proceed with a petition in front of us for the house staircase.
And continue the,
And
and
continue-
continue
and
the
continue
request.
the request
For
for-
for, let's see, let's
For the
say
addition of the shed.
continue
Yeah.
the motion to amend the petition to next month. Does that sound right?
Sure.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Since you're buying this, have you already bought it and is it
No.
delivery date?
No.
Oh, okay, so obviously, like
Yeah.
anybody else who wanted it as soon as possible,
Yeah.
but it's not like, oh, now I gotta go
A,
back to them.
a note from your butters
Yep.
saying that they are okay with the location is a wonderful thing to have and makes us feel very comfy.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're more, are you more concerned with the setback or with the, or the abutters?
Both, it's,
Okay.
but the setback is not within code.
Right.
Then the abutters saying we understand and we're okay with it goes a long way, because
Okay.
the other ones who are gonna scream bloody murder when if they're not happy.
Gotcha.
And we're not supposed to grant variances lightly. You're supposed to establish a hardship, a reason that you need the variance. There's something unusual about your property such that you need this variance. Now, if it's a raised septic system, it can't be put over there because it's a raised septic system, then that's another thing. If the lot's so tight that if you put it over there in the middle, you can't get to it, that's a hardship. There are lots of hardships you can come up with, but we're not supposed to grant variances lightly.
Sure.
So on your notes here, there's a question that says existing garage to be removed. Has that already been removed?
Oh, yeah, it's gone. So there was a garage there, I think, and I think it was 12 by 24 maybe, which I'd love to have a 12 by 24 shed, but,
Come back.
gotcha.
So I have on the floor a motion to close the hearing as to the special permit and to continue the hearing as to the variance for a shed. How many would like to second that and vote on it?
I can second that.
Second, Rod. Cheryl, you voted it, you moved it, right?
Yes.
So I just want to write it. And then Rod seconded. How many in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we can deliberate on the special permit for the structure.
I don't have any problem with it. Does anyone else?
The fact that even though it's increasing nonconformity because it's going up, he hasn't moved horizontally any closer to the property line. So
We've closed the
that doesn't
hearing, so I
bother me.
can't ask him any questions, right?
Right.
Okay.
Motion, anybody?
I make a motion to grant the special permit to increase the nonconformity of the house, of the property, wait a minute, where's the,
Here's the building inspector's comment. You could use that.
to grant the special permit from section 173-10B, parentheses 1, non-conforming uses and structures for the pre-existing nonconformity. To allow for an increased nonconformity for the staircase to the unfinished attic space. I think that does it.
That is setback with no less than,
6 feet. Side setback of let's just put approximately 6
Yeah.
feet. Because if he's at 5'11",
yeah,
I
but he's
don't
not
want
changing it.
Well,
So
it's still the same
It's actually
setback
a
from the
little
original
less.
staircase.
So let's just say of approximately 6 feet.
Yeah, over the existing footprint with the setback to remain the same.
yeah, like that.
Someone has to second it.
I'll second it.
Do I have you voting on it, Mark?
Oh, I thought it was, yeah.
Yes, he and Jillian.
Yes, you are. Okay, sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. We'll see you next month, and we're going to
Question
continue
for you.
to, wait,
Now
we
that-
had, excuse me, continue to a time certain, please. You continue to a date and time certain on your variance.
Do 7:15.
Why aren't you finishing the space if you're going through all that expense?
Well, if and when we decide to finish the space, the town will be the first ones to know about it, but we are not right now finishing it.
Seems like going to all that expense, you should
Well,
put
you
some
know,
living
if you-
space up
if you
there,
look
because
at-
the house is so small, even if you're a two-bedroom house.
Yeah, well, it is a two-bedroom house, that's the whole.
Yeah, we gotta move along.
So,
Got
Well,
a
I
date
mean-
and time certain for him
It's easy to turn the
April
downstairs rooms into
18th
dining
at
rooms. anyway.
7:20.
Okay.
All right, what time?
Okay, 7:20 on April
7:20.
18th.
Awesome, thank you.
18th, that's not, that's a Thursday.
Do you need this
Okay.
one back?
Need an official motion.
Eventually. Yeah, can we have a motion, move to,
That one, that.
include, move to,
Whatever that date is.
well, no, I want to move to hear the motion to add the garage by variance, and then
Variance for
to
the
have the
shed.
hearing for the variance for the shed, I mean.
Yep.
Second that motion to April 18th at 7:20, continue. Mark, second that motion? Julian did it.
I made the motion.
You just did.
Oh, okay.
Has it already been seconded?
Yeah. Okay, I'm calling the next hearing. It's the hearing of case number 919A, 17 Lakeshore Drive. The petitioner, Integrity Building and Design, Inc., requests a special permit or a variance pursuant to 173-10B1, non-conforming uses and structures for the removal of an existing two-car garage and the construction of a new two-car garage. This one, I need to stand down because I'm in a butter, but I can stay in the room. And this one I have, the alternates voting would be Kitty, John, and Jillian.
You have the packet. so you
And
can
this is
see
the
that.
packet here, and Cheryl, you're going to, no, that's the wrong one. Cheryl's going to be the active chair on this, I think.
I'm senior to you.
That's fine, I don't want to do it.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You opened this, all right? Sherry?
Yes, I open.
Okay.
We'll do this again.
Please
All good?
present.
All good. All right. Hi, I'm Dana McKeel from Integrity Building and Design on behalf of Dustin and Lynn Neild. Well, I'm here to
Request.
I'm sorry, nervous, first time with you guys. It's my fourth one in the last 6 months, so. Basically, the existing,
Maybe tilt that up so we can.
yeah,
see it.
sorry. The existing lot
It's a lot of work, you might as well show us.
is 10,000 square feet, so it's the frontage of the home is in the non-conformity. The sides and the back
Oh, it's too close to the front.
are all in conformity. And so there's an existing two-car garage there presently. There's also an existing connection of a staircase going there. So they would like to, and it's, because it was built in 1940, the foundation's no good, the slab's no good and stuff like that. So we'd like to remove that and build it in kind right in the same location. At the same time, we'd like to build a family room above the existing garage. And add a mudroom in this space right here. So there is already foundation here, but we would just increase that space right there.
I'm sorry.
That's all.
Basically, the footprint's the same.
Footprint's the
No
same.
change to any of the setbacks.
Correct.
Just vertically.
Just going
We
up,
did,
yeah.
we're going up vertically, yeah. This is not to scale, that is the addition. It's drawn a little bit bigger, it's something we try to do just to give a little bit of a view of what it would look like.
So it will be the
This
same-
peak is not gonna be higher, the existing
Okay.
home has its two-story addition over here. This peak will not be higher than the existing peak. It'll be probably about 4 feet less.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah.
the middle will be shorter.
Correct, as
But-
it is existing. This is the existing main house. And
Okay.
then there's an addition on the right-hand side, right here.
Okay.
That's
So
up
that may-
higher. This is done by my computer.
And it
It's
probably
not-
is that high when you put.
It's pretty close, I'll say it's close, but what I will say is it's.
But a
higher
good
than-
picture is the second one on the left.
Correct, this one right here, yes.
Can you see that, Julian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I can see it from there.
So that's what I was gonna say to you, is that this was done by computer generation. It's pretty close to scale, but it's not exactly to scale. This structure, as you can see, this peak, you can't even see the eave right now of that space. And then this is the view, as you can see. both-
But this is to scale, right?
Correct, that is the scale. What is a little deceiving on the plot plan is that Lakeshore Drive is a little bit, actually, the plot plan shows the road here, it's actually a little bit further
Well,
away.
but
In
it's
other
the
words-
right of way that we're looking at.
Exactly,
Yeah.
this is their actual lot, but the street itself is another 8 feet or 6
Yeah.
feet
Okay.
from
And what-
there.
That's
and what's the
because-
front setback right now to the
It's
right
still,
line?
with that, it's 17.9,
And what's the side setback?
24.1 and
Okay.
27.4.
And the
Okay, so
lot.
And in the back is 33, so there's plenty
Okay,
of.
so we're
Okay.
just
Very well.
talking about increasing the front setback, not
Correct.
conformity, because it's going vertical.
Correct. Wait,
Well, technically where the two pieces come together.
Well, you're keeping the same
we're
footprint.
keeping the same footprint,
It's
so it's
just
really,
going-
that's
Oh,
just
you're-
really all.
you're right.
It's just going all the way across.
He's adding,
But it
a-
doesn't
But
bring,
that's,
correct.
okay, it's the front, 17 feet in the front that we care about.
Correct, correct, that's what I'm here.
and that is an existing nonconformity. So you have the case where you have an existing nonconformities, the lot's too small, the setbacks are currently too small. You are in line with, as we can clearly see, in line with the other houses
Yeah, yeah.
on the road.
Yeah, this one's further ahead.
So we
this
don't
one's
need to
further
worry
back.
about that. Does anyone have any questions?
You wanna talk
No,
about
does anybody want to see the Google picture?
Sure. My only concern would be, I mean, this lux.
Yeah, this is similar to the other one, the only nonconformity increase is going
I
higher.
walked past.
Right,
yes.
but it is a lakefront, so that makes it interesting. Do we have any butters who'd like to speak to this?
Behind it, so it's not seen over this anyway.
I don't think they're gonna be too, but still.
For us, we're just curious, yeah, like how high up they're going. We're directly behind that, so our bedroom, like faces that garage.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to get your names and
Oh, sure.
your addresses. I
Yeah,
apologize.
So I'm Peter Sims, this is my wife Juliana. We live at 28 Juniper Road.
Come on up. Look close.
Can we see it?
Yeah,
Please.
oh, yeah, oh, absolutely, oh, absolutely.
We are a friendly board.
Yeah, so what happens is this garage right here
We are.
is gonna stay at the same height.
Oh, okay.
So basically what happens is, this is about 8 feet, so we take this 8-foot wall and put it up here.
Yeah.
And then the roof pitch comes in, this same roof pitch will come up. So it's not gonna be any higher than this, but it is,
So is it gonna be in line with this?
it's gonna be 3 or 4 feet higher than that even.
You
This
can
is
see
about
the
6
picture
feet.
in the middle there.
So this kind of depicts
Oh, I,
what it's going to look like. Like I said, it's done by the computer, so it's not exactly to scale, but it's very similar.
He says, he's telling us that the pitches will be the same on either, the height of the building on either side. So if you're looking out your bedroom window, you're seeing his addition on the left side?
Yeah, we see it on on the right side.
On the right side.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume that's, this is their house.
Right, correct. And this is looking out over the garage. This must be their house. This is the garage part, so that's what they're looking at.
From
Yeah.
the lake on that side, but
Nobody.
Did you want to make a comment or an objection, or are you okay? You understand everything?
Yeah, I think we were. At the first building zone meeting, I mean, we've always rented. I don't know, like, how this works. I didn't go to a lot of these as a renter.
Well, if you're concerned that this construction's gonna change your view of the lake, for instance, then you should say something.
Yeah, I think we are
it will,
concerned that
yeah.
it's gonna change that view.
Mm-hmm.
I know, pretty significantly.
Any other butters wish to speak? Oh, we have a building inspector now. Okay, building inspector says, the proposal to tear down the existing attached garage and rebuild a garage with a family room above within the same footprint. The garage will create a new nonconformity, require a variance from the board for the reduced front back setback. It is verified by this office that 173-31, parentheses 9, where structures exist on the adjacent lot on either side of the property, street setback need not be greater than the average. Does not apply in this case. So we can't just do a special permit, we'd have to do a variance.
We've established hardship, as there's no place else they can go besides up.
Yeah. But
Can you get a second floor on, making it a lower pitch?
Not to increase, no, not to increase the, not to gain the.
Not to gain the room up there?
Yeah, no, because
It's the flat.
there's not even enough height at the existing peak. There's not enough distance, if I'm hearing you correctly. In other words, this isn't even 8 feet right here. So there's no room, there's not a habitable space.
Right, but the
that
one
you
that you're
can-
proposing, can that come down at all anymore than the peak that you have it
Well,
at?
yeah, this pitch is a little bit steeper. We would match what the existing one is here, so.
Can
so
you
we
hold
would-
that up
Because
a
what's
little
the
bit?
dimension from the, I guess, what's the top height on the proposed?
On the proposed, this is 17
top of the roof
feet,
line.
and then it'll be another 7, so it'll be 24 feet.
And what is it now?
What's that now? It's 8 feet less, so it's, 16.
18.
Yeah,
But
you're
it's
going
hard,
up
because it like
18.
peaks down, so
Yeah.
it's like, you don't have a box and then.
because
so
all we're
it's eight-
doing is putting another story on this.
Right, so you're going from 18 to 24?
Yep,
No, 16 to 24.
16 to 24, sorry,
Okay.
16 to 24.
16 to 24,
Yeah,
which will
yeah.
affect, can you
8 feet.
decrease the pitch of the roof a little? I hate
Yeah,
redesigning.
We can just decrease the roof pitch,
How much-
maybe to go with like, I think this is a 7, we can go to a 5.
Can we ask you now how much
Maybe
the
just check what's the
current-
current view look like.
yeah, what's the current view look like?
Oh, there you go.
Here we go. I mean, I moved to Littleton about 30 years ago, and I love where we live, but I always regret not looking for something that had a view of the water.
Yeah.
So if you guys want a place based on the view of the water,
Our back bedroom, it is an obstructed view, which I understand, but my only concern is if it goes higher, like the whole lake view.
Yeah, so you
Would
put
be
that on top of that,
obstructed
this,
on
all
that
that water goes away.
Yep. Well, the really distant water doesn't.
Oh, I think so.
well,
Yeah.
oh no, that's,
The new roof's higher than the middle section.
Excuse me, are you this home right here?
You pass the Google map thing down?
I mean, that's.
You're this,
What's the Google map?
Yeah.
You are right, you are,
So really, you look out this way.
Okay, so this is the garage here.
and you are right here?
This one here.
Yeah, so that's
That house.
so I wanted to get my.
Look, here's the
The
roof
other thing
line
they could
here.
do, I mean,
What's the existing height of the house itself, the middle part of the house?
The middle part of the house?
Yes.
But look at the Google Earth view, if they put the middle part of the house up, it almost
The
works.
house itself is 20 feet and the garage is 16 feet, just so that you can compare.
Okay, and you're where? You're here?
Here's a
Do they
picture
have
of that
enough?
house.
So this is 18 feet high.
So you're looking across the house is
So
in
this
your way
is,
anyway.
this is the house.
Right here.
No, Joel says the,
Photo she has looking at.
oh, I'm sorry, you're right, that's sure. This is,
So this right now is 18 feet,
Yeah,
and this one's gonna be 24. So
but it
that's,
sounds like they can decrease the pitch and get it
Yeah.
closer to the 18, but
But I
still.
think even
won't
if they
be
do that-
18, no, it can't be 18 because of the fact that
No.
Yeah.
you need a pitch system.
but I think as soon as you put it here, it's gonna
Yeah.
take it all out of here.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not a voting member, but I'd be hard pressed to let somebody take a view away.
Okay, one at a time,
So-
one at a time. People have a right to rebuild their garage too, so you have to, what's our job is to weigh our options here and see what else can be done to allow this gentleman who wants to rebuild his garage and have a family room above it. Is there a way to preserve some of their view and grant this gentleman his desires too?
I think as soon as you hit 20 feet on that garage, it's gonna completely block it. Because of the, if you take the roof line that's currently in their picture and you go all the way over, it will cut the whole thing off. So I feel like even if we bring the pitch down and you're down to 24, I don't think you're gonna see a difference.
So if it doesn't help to bring it down to 20.
Correct.
No, I think
It's gonna
So
cut
if
it.
we're going to grant it, we might as well grant it for the entire height, because cutting it down to 24 doesn't help anything.
Correct.
Okay.
So is it an option to put the family room behind the existing garage?
The septic system's all there.
How about behind the main part of the house, like the little?
That's all the leaching field. The whole septic system and leaching field is their whole backyard.
How about on top of the main house?
The top of the main house then would go to Board of Health, and they would say, no, I'm only allowed to build this one room because of the septic system of the house.
but if it's a family room, not a bedroom.
It gets,
It's
The only,
touchy upstairs.
We don't-
and I've
we
already
don't wanna
I
be-
talked to them, this is why, I didn't mean the sigh is because of the fact that now you're getting into a larger size addition, and the Board of Health will say that, yeah, it's one room, but they will consider it 2 rooms, because Title V allows you anything over 100 and,
To break it up. You'd always have to redo the whole downstairs or bring all the bedrooms up.
yeah, and that's what's gonna end up happening, now you're gonna increase.
Well, in the
bedroom
same
size.
way, that could be considered the same.
This is why, this is as a family room, and this is why I had to go in front of the Board of Health, or talk to the Board of Health, when you show the Board of Health as far as.
So we either take someone's complete view away, or we
I
deny
think
somebody.
we do have to take a look at the, Coach Sherry was kind enough to show it to me, and 173-10, Section B, Paragraph 3, Board of Appeals may by special permit allow the change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming use where it determines that the proposed modifications will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing non-conforming use to the neighborhood. If this nonconformity is detrimental to other people in the neighborhood.
How detrimental is it to other people in the neighborhood, though? The
It's
fact that
blocking
from
their
her,
view that they-
her bedroom window, it blocks her view is already blocked. She's not on the lakefront. It's her bedroom window. How much time does she spend looking out her bedroom window? We are doing we are not granting a desire of one person. We have to weigh the different needs.
That photo
I
was
said,
from your
the
room.
current nonconformity is affecting them, so it's the current
I mean,
detriment. This is increasing that detriment.
right,
which
their,
is
their view
what
is
this
already blocked. They're not lakefront. There's a
it's-
house in
it's-
front of them.
It's increasing the detriment. And that's what this paragraph addresses.
So I'm in a butter, and I can speak as in a butter, not as a board member. And it seems to me that there must be a way to make a creative design so that the applicant can get themselves a little additional space and have a little more sensitivity to the view. And I'm not sure it's up to this board to design that. I'm thinking that maybe the applicant and the neighbor could talk a little bit, maybe push it back, let's take the other hearing in between, and push it back till they.
Or we could continue it till next month and give you a chance to work it out with your neighbor, or,
I guess the question becomes, no matter what, we're putting a structure, or we're proposing to put a structure on the second floor to create a room. And I hear you about architecturally designing something that.
we don't want to, right? It's not our job to.
And I understand that, but what I'm getting, I guess, no matter what, the only thing that's gonna happen is we need to postpone to next month, and we need to just talk to this client, talk to the neighbor. Is that really, basically, that all boils down to?
I think, right, I can
Because no
pull the
matter
board.
what, we're gonna be putting a structure
I
there.
can poll the board, let me
Yeah.
poll the board without calling a vote. I can
Mhm.
poll the board, and I'll give you an idea of what would happen if we vote now. I'm offering you a contingency of
If-
continuing it and discussing and see if you can work something out. But let me
And that's
pull,
fine, but the question I have is, I guess in the form of, never mind, we'll just continue.
I just
with
have
this.
another question, please. What's the possibility of getting a half roof on the second story on the house? Half of the house goes up, not the whole thing.
But,
It gets a very creative contemporary look.
but the thing is that if I'm blocking the view now, and I'm gonna be putting something on the main house.
The main
now
view is
it's-
above the garage, though. In the pictures, her view basically, she doesn't really have that much of a view over the main house. As soon as
Right,
you
but
go
the
to the
next neighbor
garage,
does.
No, but she
There's
has,
another neighbor besides this neighbor, and so the next neighbor is gonna do the same thing. Because now we're gonna be blocking that person's view, and this structure is now gonna be higher than the structure we're proposing.
in other words,
I mean, I
that
don't mind
abutter
you
notified,
continuing it, but
correct?
I'm just saying to you that we're gonna move this
I-
apple cart
I understand.
in different
I understand.
locations.
Let me poll the board.
Sure.
And see where if we came down, give you an idea if we come down to a vote, where we would be.
Yeah.
Jillian, why don't you start?
I don't know, I feel like I need a few more minutes to think about this.
Rod?
I'm struggling with the fact that you either satisfy one person or you satisfy another, but you can't satisfy both. So I'm struggling with that a little bit. So give them a month to try to see if there's something else that can be done, might be beneficial.
John?
I have an issue with blocking the people's view that's been there for years. And I think that I'd be more happy with a solution that perhaps requires a variance, like get a little closer to the property line than the code allows, but then stays on the one floor rather than second floor, and allowing them to, because of the septic system and blocking neighbors' views becomes a hardship that they can solve by getting close to the property line. That to me, whether it's one side or the other, sort that out. You can't tell from that drawing exactly where the septic system is. I find it hard to believe it runs the whole length of the
They're only
backyard.
16 feet from the front property. the
Yeah,
front
but you come
road.
over here someplace and put an, addition over here that gets you maybe 10 feet, 12 feet from the edge
Because it's
of
a
this
garage
property
and a
line.
mudroom
And the garage is on that side, and you have a family room on this side, and
But like Sherry said.
so that
we
so
shouldn't
you
be-
stay low
Yeah.
and allowing people behind to continue to have the same view they have today.
But like Sherry said, we're not here to design it, but I think
No.
what you're saying is you'd consider a less of a setback if they could do something else and not increase. the height.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I would prefer, that is to me, it'd be a better solution than going up, which is also a change, and blocking people's views. I think the views to a lot of people are very important.
Kitty?
I think whatever adjustments could be made within the petitioner's desire for a garage with the additional space, again, it's one person versus another. As I'm reading the section that Mark pointed out, it's saying, shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. And to me, the neighborhood is more than one person's view. And so if we're weighing one person's rights over another, I would come down on the side of the petitioner to have better use of his property that he owns as opposed to the view issue.
And Mark?
Well, I'm not a voting member, but
I
if I
know.
were, reading this, and then from my perspective, common sense, like a doctor, do no harm. How can we fix this one family's problem without harming somebody else? So as it's designed, I would be against it, but I'm sure, again, with some creative architectural skills, the petitioner can get their new garage and family room while not negatively affecting their neighbors.
Where I stand is if I have to choose between the view from her bedroom and the ability of the petitioner to be able to use his property in a reasonable fashion, I would probably side with petitioner. But quite frankly, I struggle with it because I think that I'd like to see you try other ways.
Sure.
If you can't work something out,
Yeah.
then you should certainly come back with what you got, and we'll put it to a vote.
Okay.
And you can explain to us what you did to try to work things out,
Sure.
and what you did to try to solve the problem, and we will probably be sympathetic to your efforts.
Yep, okay, no, well, I'll do that, and I'll bring the septic plan in too, so that way that you can see.
That would be good.
There's no, what John was talking about or discussing.
I mean, your
it's
drawings-
physically-
your drawings were-
It's physically impossible. 'cause
Your
that's-
drawings were exactly what we want.
Yeah.
You did a very good job with your presentation, and your drawings, they are exactly what we ask for.
Yeah.
It just,
Yeah, no, I
we're just
understand.
asking you to try to work things
I've
out
got a
with the
waterfront
abutter.
property, I understand, so I'll be in touch, as far as.
So we need to continue, I need a motion to continue
Sure.
What's the date?
I move when we continue this to next month,
at a time certain.
certainly.
18th of April at 7:40.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're all good. So we'll see you the 18th at 7:40.
Okay, thank you.
Please come back.
I'd like to see if you can come up with another idea.
Yes.
Even if he stretches out, you'd be asked for a different setback. Some of their options.
If it's pushed,
A controversial one.
I know, isn't that strange? I thought that was gonna be nice and easy.
Yeah, what are options you would
Well, we're sympathetic to views. Especially young ladies who are so bright and has a different view. Especially first-time homeowners.
Thank you for participating in the process. We're at the 7:40 case, we're running a little bit late. Case number 920A, 11 Worcester Road. The petitioner, Metro West Company, requesting a special permit or variance pursuant to 17331 and 17310B2 for the reconstruction of a nonconforming structure with a reduced front yard setback. And I have as voting alternates on this one, Mark and Jillian. Good evening.
if I could have my Google map back, I might as well keep it for next month.
The Google map?
Yeah,
Which one?
the one that we just did.
Is this you? The decided one?
Then I'll keep it, bring it next month.
Good.
Ken,
I need to bring it closer to that.
I'm gonna put those in the file for next week. Next time I think I'm trying to put it on the size.
And let's put this in the clerk and
Oh, you brought an easel.
Yeah, it was really tough.
You tilted just a little bit, yeah, thank you.
Or if you put it directly behind the
Stage over next to.
These are the applicant, my clients, Lily and Alex Flores. I did a blow-up of the plan, so maybe you might be able to see it from where you're sitting a little better.
Yeah, I wish everybody would do this, makes it easier.
I find it's helpful. Anyway, my name's Scott Hayes, I'm with Foresight Engineering. I prepared this plan for special permit / variance for demolition of an existing house and construction of a new house at 11 Worcester Road. Alex and Julia Flores are here, they're the applicant proposing the project. The owner is 11 Worcester Road Trust, which is Joyce Howard and Catherine Howard, I don't know who that is. The lot is on the corner of Worcester Road and Concord Drive, and it's an existing 1940s kind of bungalow house. Tried to draw something that made sense here. You could see the kind of in lighter brown in here is the existing house and the existing detached garage, and this bolder kind of burgundy color is the proposed house superimposed on that.
So you're going, I'm sorry, I'll let you finish. I apologize, go ahead.
I'll just be a minute. So we've been to the Board of Health. We got a sewage disposal system approved in this area here. That's permitted. We filed with the Conservation Commission, and we've kind of been kind of hit an impasse there with respect to the 50-foot no disturb zone on their wetland setback, whereas, I mean, this lot pre-exists the wetland bylaw. The existing edge of lawn is back in this area, so we thought it was an approvable project under Wetlands Protection Act, certainly, but under the more stringent local wetland bylaw regulations. They're really hammering down on the 50-foot no disturb line. They'll let you encroach within it to the extent that the existing structure encroaches within it, and to the same extent, square footage-wise. So what we proposed, we ended up pulling the house forward to meet that requirement. In order to do that, I had to reduce the front yard setback below the minimum of 30 feet. So the existing house is 24.7 feet off Worcester Road, and the proposed is 25. So it's similar, slightly greater than existing. And similarly on the back, we had the deck originally off the back of the house, we moved it off to that side and slid the house forward. So now we've got lesser square footage in the 50-foot buffer and no closer than, which should satisfy, right? We have a continuation of the public hearing. They encouraged us to pursue the Board of Appeals application for a front yard setback in order to try to meet the letter of their wetland bylaw. So that process with Conservation Commission is still open pending the result of this. So again, the proposed house is here. This existing garage being raised, be a proposed attached garage with a front load, And again, the deck's been shifted over to the side, of keeping the backyard as much in its current state as possible, while, raising this portion of the dwelling in there and leaving the rest of that lawn. But when you look at the lot as a whole, it's 36,000 square feet, but due to the wetlands and the fact that it's a corner lot, when you pull the 30-foot front yard setback off both sides and the 50-foot no build, it pretty much eliminates everything except, this little window here, and this is where our septic system is. So really, between the setbacks for zoning and the setbacks for wetlands, really is constraining. So we filed an application with the board for alteration of or demolition of a non-conforming lot on a non-conforming structure of a non-conforming lot for construction of a new dwelling, not within the same footprint, but it's no closer setback wise to the front.
And just to confirm, that setback includes the stair depth, correct?
It does.
Okay,
I
so,
distinguished in the plan that what was building, what were stairs, so existing stairs are 19.9, the proposed stairs are 20.9, the existing building is 24.7, the proposed
Okay.
building is 25.
let me pull you back. How big is the foundation of the house you're proposing to build?
How big is it?
What is the dimensions of the foundation of the house you're proposing to build?
Don't know off the top of my head, but I can scale it off here. I have the plan with me.
Oh, good, pull it out, please.
You know what the setback for the property to the left is from the road? I noticed it was closer to the road than this, what you're proposing here.
I don't have a dimension, but it's shown here.
You can
About-
Google map on this one?
I think it's about 12 feet.
The house to the left is close, is
Yeah.
12 feet to the road.
I'm guessing it's about 12 feet. This is 10, so maybe it's a little more, maybe it's 13 or 14.
But that's a septic system, there's no structure in that.
No, the house to the left, I
No,
was
no,
asking,
the,
is the property to the
the
left.
house
that's-
at 17 Worcester is, the front of it's shown here. Didn't dimension it to the lot line,
I mean,
but
it's right up to the lot line there?
it's encroaching on
Yeah.
the locus.
So the current setback from Worcester Road to the front of the house is what?
24.7.
24.7,
And the proposed setback
25,
And the
Excuse me,
stairs are about the
is,
same.
is,
25.
so you're proposing 25, you're decreasing the setback?
We're increasing the
It's increasing.
setback,
Making it further from the road.
further from the
Okay,
road.
so you're moving it further back from the road by half a
5
foot,
inches.
5 inches. You are pulling the existing setback from Concord Road is,
I think it's within the 30s, isn't it?
existing
25?
setback from Concord Road is what?
I don't have it dimensioned here, it's about 25 feet.
But how does that work? Because this is a corner lot, so this is when one side is reduced setback.
Yep. So it says,
I think it reduces it down to 15,
no less than 15.
no less than 15.
In the
So
It
it's
setback.
fine.
says, hang on, when more than one street abuts the lot, then the additional street setback may be reduced 1 foot for every 2,000 square feet under 40,000. And you're at 36,000?
30-something changes.
36,000 and change.
So let's call it
18.
2 feet can be, so it can be 28 feet.
Would you say, I thought you said 1 foot for every 2,000 square feet.
Under 40,000.
Oh, under 40.
Yes, and it's only 4,000
Okay.
square feet under 40,000
So it's-
if we're generous.
Yeah.
And so we can call it 28 is the normal setback. They're saying the existing setback is,
Sorry, the existing setback by scale is about 22 feet.
is 22 feet.
And that setback isn't changing, there's already a structure there, I can't tell.
The deck here is about 22 feet. 22
Oh, I see.
23 feet here, and the proposed deck in dark back here is proposed at 25.
And what is, at present is what?
It's about 22 to this corner of the deck here.
I see. So basically, you're putting the house, the new house structure over where the old deck was, and putting the other deck back in the back where the lot gets wider anyway.
Correct.
So well, we count decks as setbacks, so that's legitimate. And you're making the setback less and you've got your septic system,
Yes.
you're going to have to admit, get away with, you have to deal with conservation on the 50-foot buffer, but that doesn't concern us.
Right. We're in process there and pursuing this avenue at their request, that we try to come up
He
with
said he
a.
could get inside the 50-foot buffer as long as it was on where the old foundation was.
Huh,
No worse than the existing foundation.
huh.
Which actually
This is a
come out.
creative solution.
Thank you. So.
You can come up, by the way, you don't,
I didn't call you.
It's tucked in there tight.
you're tucking in there. What is your footprint of your house, the dimensions of the footprint?
I knew you were gonna come back to that.
Of course I am.
I'm finding it right now. It's, so the full length of the house is 60 feet. The main box is 36 with a 24-foot garage, so.
What is your width,
The depth,
the depth?
well, the garage is 24, the depth is 28.
28. So it's a nice big house.
I have to say, 28, anything less than 28 makes it very difficult on the, like, if we ask them to come, if they ask them to shrink it a little bit, they
But
don't
is,
have to shrink.
didn't you say it was 36?
That's
It's
the,
28,
it's 28 feet.
28 deep, 36 wide,
And the garage is how deep?
24.
24,
Square.
24 square. Okay.
I need
Thank
you
you
to
for answering
repeat
all my
that because I
questions.
have to write it.
I'm sorry.
I need you to repeat it.
Start where?
First of all, the existing house is about 60 by 36?
No,
No.
The existing house is what, 28 by 30 something?
it's an odd
it's just
shape.
like a-
It's a 850 square foot bungalow that it doesn't really have
All
a
right.
geometric.
It's smaller,
Maybe 20 by.
significantly
And the
smaller.
proposed is what?
24.
The proposed house now is going to be 60 by,
60 by 28.
okay.
The 60 includes the garage, correct?
The 60 includes the garage.
Okay.
Okay. And then you said
The garage,
the existing front setback from Worcester Road to the existing house is 24/7.
Yep.
The new one proposed is going to be 25, so you picked up a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
5 inches.
And then
The
to,
dimensions of the stairs
and,
was,
and that, yeah, I want to go, the dimensions to the stairs were what and will be what?
okay, the stairs,
Are the stairs attached, or are you using like a cast for the stairs?
they're.
It'd make a difference.
Yeah, well, because the cast don't count.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
They do
Yes,
now?
they do.
They
yes.
do.
It would have to be a freestanding hardscape, so not structurally
does-
attached to the house.
Oh, so like
So it would
granite
take into
steps?
account, but, so the existing stairs are 19.9, the proposed are 20.9.
Okay, so that improves. And then over here on this side setback to Concord Drive, you had existing 22 feet and, from the deck, and the proposed now is going to be 25 feet.
Yes.
So that improves.
That improves, and
And we
this
still have a
corner right
lot that's
here,
undersized.
that's 22 is probably going to about 20, looks like it's going to about 20.
That doesn't really matter as long as we give them a side setback for the 25, right?
I don't know if that's going to work there. If it was 22 before, I don't think there's three, look
Oh,
at
I
this.
see.
Is there 3 feet
Measure
here?
off, Scott, measure off from your corner to Concord, your new corner to Concord Drive.
There's
She's
front
right.
right corner to
You-
Concord
You
Drive.
might need a variance, you might need the variance to call that number out.
Yeah, it should be the same 22 feet, shouldn't it? That's
No,
sitting over
it's-
the corner
he's-
of the deck.
Well, he's moved it in a bit,
He's moved it in a bit, but it may be more
but
than.
not as much as
No, it
25.
might not be as
No,
much
it's
as 25.
the front corner of the house is 25 as well.
The closest
To
point
Concord Drive,
to Concord Drive is 25.
yes,
You're sure of that?
yes.
Okay. Because
No,
that's
we
what we're
don't
going to
need a
give you.
side setback anywhere else, we don't need a rear setback anywhere, and we have an undersized lot, and do we have undersized frontage? No, we have enough frontage.
And we have a hardship with that wetlands and.
And undersized
and-
lots.
And 50-foot setback.
And the
Wetlands.
fact that it's on a corner.
and the
And the
septic
corner is
system
also
in
8
place.
square footage.
Yeah, we really tried to conform to the existing developed
your-
area of the site.
Your design is very creative, and you've managed to check all our little boxes, so to speak.
Have you built this house elsewhere?
Yeah, well, I was told that the house around the corner that was just built on Concord Drive, I don't know if you guys drove by or not, but there's a
This
new
one.
house right on the corner when you pull up of Harwood. It's gonna be very similar to that
There's
house.
there's one in Acton that's just like it.
Yeah, it's just this kind of standard colonial, attached.
All right, building inspector's comment, excuse me. Do I have anybody in
Just the
the
owner,
butters, or
Just the
did everyone
owners.
else leave?
just the
Everybody
owner.
else left, it's
Or
just the
you're
owners
not
left.
the owners yet.
Well,
And what are your names also for the record, please?
Lilia Flores?
Lilia, one L,
L-I-L-Y-A.
and that's Flores.
Where do you currently reside?
51 Hartwell Ave.
Okay, the building inspector comment is, the applicant seeks a variance from 17310B2 non-conforming uses and structures. The applicant is requesting to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling to be approximately 25 feet from the front property line. This location is requested due to the Wetlands and the Conservation Commission 50-foot no-build buffer zone. The existing nonconformities are lot size and front setback. The applicant was advised to amend the plan to show the offset to the steps which are now included in the setback. Pursuant to 17310B2, the proposed dwelling will create a new nonconformity and require a variance from the board for the reduced front setback of 20.9, and I think we also have to vote it for the additional street front setback of 25, if that's what you're inclined to do. Okay, anybody want to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Anybody want to
All in
deliberate?
favor?
Anybody want to deliberate? You all set?
Vote that, closing the hearing?
Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor. Thank you.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Back to all the setbacks.
we haven't voted on it.
Want to stay for that?
Sure, we just can't ask you any more
I
questions.
want the odometer.
You can't say any more to us.
Okay, anybody want to, you're on it, right? You want to
Yes, I
start?
believe, yeah.
You want to start?
I think it's a great improvement. He's not actually increasing the nonconformity.
He's raising it.
Well, okay.
He's increasing it. The
Yeah.
house is a much
But in
larger
looking at
house.
the neighborhood, it's not blocking anybody's view, and obviously by the lack of abutters, no one else seems to have a problem with it, so I think it looks like a good project. I mean, it's a fairly good-sized lot, but really hemmed in.
You're okay to do it as a variance,
Yeah.
you've got the hardship. Kitty?
I think it's a great solution to a very thorny problem of the restrictions on it.
John?
Yeah, I think there is a hardship, I think, because of, good percentage of the lot, it's like almost 2/3 of the lot is restricted from being touched. That is a hardship, it really, even though it seems like a large lot, it isn't when you get finished, how many square feet are left to build on. And a corner lot to make it even worse. I think someone's worked hard to get it to meet everybody's requirements, and in fact, other than going higher, it's slightly reduced all the nonconformities we have today. So I think that's a good solution.
Cheryl?
It's a big house, but it's a nice big lot. I don't have a problem with it. I think you've been very creative with the setbacks. It's not like and you don't have neighbors on top of you. It's not like you're building a huge structure that's gonna loom over your neighbors. It's fine.
Right?
I like the fact that the setbacks are, excuse me, actually increased a little bit.
Decrease.
No, setbacks are increased.
It got bigger.
Okay, yeah, you're right. And Jillian?
I have no issues with the proposed plan.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
No.
No, she said Mark
Oh,
Julian.
I know, it's you.
I'll try.
Try not to.
It's the
I make
spotlight.
a motion to request the variance.
Grant.
Grant the variance for 11 Worcester Road pursuant to 17331 and 17310B2 for the reconstruction of a non-conforming structure with a reduced front yard and side yard setback.
Yeah, call out the setback numbers, please.
So, with front setback of no more than the proposed 25 feet.
That's not, no, it's not,
The front was 25 feet.
No,
No,
it's
no,
20,
20.9.
20.9.
We're going to 20, okay, so for 20 point, Want to just call it 21?
No, no, no.
20.9.
20.9, okay.
Otherwise, you won't be able to build that extra.
All right, no more than 20.9
inches.
front setback and 25 on the right setback.
In Concord Road Drive.
Not to be less than
Not to
20.
be less than 25 feet on the Concord Road.
So just procedurally, you want to give them 20 on the front,
Sure.
and you want to give them 24 on the...
Not to be less than 20 feet for a front setback, and not less than 25 for a side
I go to
setback.
24 just in case.
No, I think they know what they're doing.
I don't.
No, I think.
I
Well,
think he's,
what if you have a
no,
big
I trust
flat
you,
around?
Scott, it's just that you did it with a scale here, and I'm worried about
And
that
it
corner.
needs the
Well,
roof
no, it's
overhang
right on the
too.
drawing, and it's a deck, it's
Yeah,
not.
but that's the problem, is you
You-
you go to the
the-
nearest.
the-
No,
the
we're worried
CHAP
about the front corner, Mark. He didn't do that.
No, when I set that corner at 25
Okay,
feet.
all right.
So, up from both streets.
So, not a setback of not less than, you want to do 24 and a half?
No, it's all right. If he's
20 if
said
he's
it's
confident.
25.
25.
Not less than 25.
Yeah, not less than 25.
And
As shown,
On the plan. Do you have a plan number?
yes.
Oh, hold on, I have my phone, I can't read it from there.
call out your plan number.
The plan number, 207 ZBA.2D.
On
D's and
plan
dog?
207
I'm sorry, 2078
2078 ZB,
ZBA.
ZBA.
Just for us.
Okay, anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Their neighbors still have all these cars
Welcome
and
to
boats around it.
a new part of Littleton.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, we need to get minutes out of the way because
Thank you.
Janet's doing a great job
Yes,
keeping
she
us
did.
current. Anybody have comments to the
There is
minutes?
an appeal period.
No, I-
Yes.
You're aware of it, okay.
Do you
know What's when that?
the decision gets recorded with the clerk?
Go.
Well, want to say, it was so helpful, Janet, to get it like 2 days after the meeting because you could remember everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the last paragraph, second to last line, it says Attorney Robert Dot Markey. Can you see there?
What page you on?
Hold on, are these the minutes?
February 21.
Yes, that's the ones I have. Oh, I just have it's a,
Oh, I see his name is Robert Markley without the dot.
it's just condensed, I think, from what I'm working on, so 744, where's my little?
Oh, I see, got it.
Okay, and then after that, I think because it's tricky, this one I had where it says, stated the Hartwells would like to sell the 3 lots separate from their lot residence. We need to be worried because they were never really combined. Do we want to say that?
Yeah, let me
sell?
address that because I had a
Okay.
lot of comments on that, just to clarify it. It was a very confusing situation, and I think the board did a wonderful job puzzling through it. But first, my first comment is on the FEMA case. Mr. Badger I don't think you contest FEMA, I think you appeal FEMA.
Okay.
I think you
Oh, okay.
appeal the FEMA designation.
Okay.
And I think you appeal to FEMA, because what happens is the overlay, water line, what do you call it, the flood maps are overlaid, and it's like a layer thing, and you can contest that, I think, to FEMA. So I think you say appealing to FEMA, and it's
Okay.
FEMA.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. And then when we said, at this point, he has withdrawn, I think he requests to withdraw the application without prejudice.
Okay.
And then we vote to let him, okay? But put in without prejudice there. And then my comments are on page 2. Try this if you will, please, where it starts out, 2 of the properties.
I'm sorry, which part?
Middle of the page, 2 of the properties
Okay, yes.
were sold from the town of Littleton, period.
Or
Were
sold
they
by the
purchased
town.
from the town of Littleton?
Yeah, you can put purchased.
Or sold by. the
Yeah,
town.
purchased from the town of Littleton is good. Those 2, plus one other vacant lot, were deeded to a trust
Are you in that whole paragraph right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because I,
Were deeded to a trust, okay? The deed,
Leave the next sentence.
yeah, I think,
Leave the Hartwells own 30 Dahlia Drive prior to the other 3 lots.
not yet.
Okay.
I'm still inserting after those 2 and 1 other vacant lot were deeded to a trust. The deed from the town stated that the 3 vacant lots in the trust should merge.
yep, I have,
You're right
because I
with
have it said the deed for lot 365 states,
Yeah.
property shall combine for
Yeah.
the purpose of future conveyance with the abutting property lots 341 and 366.
Right, so those are
Okay.
the 3 vacant
Okay.
lots, should merge. The Hartwells owned 30 Dahlia Drive prior to the other 3 lots.
Yep.
The town's deed never mentioned, and then go on, that the 3 lots needed to merge with 30 Dahlia Drive. And then on the next sentence, please, again.
Yep.
Chair Gould noted that the trust was created in the same year as the case law on doctrine of merger began to challenge trust control. Doctrine of merger has been around forever. It was just a case in 78
Okay.
that
Began-
said trusts don't work anymore. Began to
check
challenge trust control.
trust control. Okay.
And then, that was all set. Then the next paragraph, there was a review of the individual deeds for the lots. Just left out the article, that's all. And that was it. Everything else was very well done. Okay? Everyone?
Can I talk about one section I was just
Yep,
wondering on?
yep.
So the second to last paragraph says, there was discussion about the chain of titles of the 3 properties. Vernon Hartwell is the sole owner of the trust. I kind of wrote a note that said, based on the property cards and the presented material, Vernon Hartwell was identified as the owner of the Rainy J Trust.
In actuality, I left it because contrary to what council was presenting, the trust was a matter of record. It was
Okay.
sitting there right in the Registry of Deeds records with the deed, the first deed in, and it said Vernon Hartwell was, so it wasn't just presented evidence, it
Gotcha,
was
okay.
factual.
Okay.
That Vernon Hartwell was the sole
Okay.
owner of the trust, the sole trustee of the
Because that
trust.
was like the big crux of that whole.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was scared to look it up, honestly. The way
I have a procedure question. We have, like tonight, we had these 3 meetings, and they're so close together, and we never get the first one done in 10 minutes. I mean, so I'm just wondering why we have them that close together. Why don't we?
My doing, and this is why. You go to any other town, everything is scheduled for 7, and you all sit and wait till 11, 12, 13.
Well, yeah, but why doesn't it say 7:15?
Because sometimes
and the next
people-
one's
They don't
7:20?
show, I don't
Because-
want to.
Oh, you wanna wait, you can, okay.
Yeah, frequently they continue, ask
So you
for a
don't mind
continuance,
delaying the later ones, but that would allow us, in case someone didn't show or one got canceled. that we
not to
could-
sit here twiddling our
Yeah.
thumbs and talking about doings in town, which we've done before.
Hang on.
Okay,
Thank
that
you,
makes
thank you.
sense.
Town news.
I also, and Janet's very good about this, we also have a little discussion before we set the agenda about what it looks like it's gonna be. None of them look like they're gonna be 20 minutes or more, but when we have like a 40B or something like that.
Oh, that's a totally
Yeah.
different story.
Okay, minutes, someone want to move the minutes voted as amended?
Move that the minutes,
Who's voting?
Oh, good question.
Whoever
Who was
received
here?
them in their
Kitty?
packets was here.
You were here, weren't you? John was here.
I
Jillian
wasn't.
was here. You weren't here. Okay, so that's who, John and Jillian.
I'll second.
Second, all those in favor?
Who seconded, Rod?
Okay, I do want to read a letter from the building inspector. I don't know if any of you took the time to read it. I got a little rear end chewing. Actually, having read the decision from the 30 Dahlia Drive case, I just wanted to make some comments. No one from the building department was present at the meeting because the request was for a variance, not an appeal. The building department received the letter from town council on the small lot determination and reviewed with the Hartwells in the office on January 23rd. I gave them their options, and the Hartwells verbally stated and then submitted on January 24th a letter, "We are not disputing the merger of lots. We are requesting a variance." Therefore, no written order was given from this office. The comments submitted from this office to the board stated the applicant was seeking a variance and gave a history of the properties. The sentence in the decision stating the building department did not send a representative to challenge the appeal is incorrect, and I think inappropriate, as this was not a request for an appeal. The petition should have been voted as a variance. So, the building department and I discussed this. I hope that matter is put to bed. If it's not, I'll have another discussion with the building department. We had our reasons for not voting it as a variance, and I was told by the building department that the letter of town council, which denied the small lot determination, as submitted to us, constituted the action of the building department in denying the small lot determination, and therefore, I understood the petition was an appeal or a variance, and I think that's the way the petition read. I could be mistaken, but that's what I thought it read, and that's how we voted it. So I don't have a problem with the letter, we just got
Is
smacked.
Roland still mad at you?
No one's mad at me. No one's mad at me. I hope. Okay.
There's always someone mad at
Move
me.
to adjourn.
Second,
All those in favor? Aye.
turn off the camera.
Can you switch it?